Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session MedTech Security Protecting Connected Healthcare and Ensuring Compliance. I am Shilpa Sharma, and I will be your host for the day. Before we get started, we would like to go over a few house rules. For our attendees, the session will be in listen only mode and will last for an hour, out of which last 15 minutes will be dedicated to Q&A. Also, admissions are currently open. For further details about our courses, please visit our website www.eccu.edu. Our speaker for today's session, Amol Kodag. Amol is a seasoned MedTech and Technology R&D executive with over 2 decades of experience driving innovation and leading engineering teams in the medical and technology sector. As a Director of Engineering and Head of Cardiovascular Portfolio at Medtronic Engineering and Innovation Center, Amol has been at the forefront of developing cutting-edge connected care solutions and integrating advanced technologies such as AI, ML, and IoT into life-saving medical devices. His extensive knowledge spans global R&D leadership, digital transformation, and product security, ensuring compliance with stringent regulatory standards. Throughout his career, Amol has demonstrated a deep commitment to enhancing patient and clinical outcomes through secure and reliable technology solutions. Recognized for his leadership in cybersecurity initiatives, he has successfully led teams in building robust security frameworks for enterprise software and connected intelligent solutions. Amol is a sought-after speaker and thought leader in the tech industry, sharing his expertise at global conferences and webinars on critical topics such as security and IoT. Without any further delay, I would hand over the session to you, Amol.
Hey, thank you, Shilpa. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. First of all, it's an honor to be here and to discuss a topic that continues to shape the future of healthcare. Today, we are going to talk about MedTech security, protecting connected healthcare, and ensuring compliance. Maybe we can go to the next slide. Yes. So with the increasing reliance on connected medical devices, right, the importance of cybersecurity cannot be overstated. Over the next around 35 minutes or so, we will explore the key challenges in securing medical devices, understanding the evolving threat landscape, and discuss how we navigate through complex regulatory environment while ensuring patient safety. So here's this agenda, which you can see on the screen. We will cover three main areas, more from getting a broader understanding of the key trends, the cybersecurity risks and challenges in the medtech ecosystem, the evolving regulatory landscape, and what are the expectations from the regulators. And we'll also explore the approach and the best practices for managing or addressing the security challenges. I hope by end of this session, you will have at least a broader understanding of the critical aspects of medtech security. All right. So can we move to the next slide, please? All right. So on this slide, let's first talk about the ever-evolving connected healthcare ecosystem. So here's some of the recent news that were published, right? There was a recent news that where mentioned the doctor removes patient's lung tumor while operating machine from 5,000 kilometers away, right? So this news was published in one of the newspapers. There was another news recently where surgeons make history performing world's first fully robotic heart transplant. Again, fantastic achievement, right? With the use of technology. So if you see here, medtech is advancing very rapidly with technologies like Internet of Medical Things, or adoption of medical devices in Internet, artificial intelligence, robotics. These all are transforming healthcare. For example, I'm sure you are aware of it, but Internet of Medical Things in devices such as connected insulin pumps or pacemakers are allowing real-time monitoring, and this is significantly improving patient outcomes. When we talk about AI nowadays, AI is a buzzword, but even AI is revolutionizing diagnostics. If you take an example, AI algorithms are assisting, for example, in oncology by analyzing huge amount of medical data and even suggesting the treatment options. And there are multiple other avenues where AI is being used. Telemedicine has expanded access to the care, especially in rural areas. And there are multiple companies now which are leading the remote healthcare services. So that's another trend that you would see. Robotic assisted surgery is another key technology trend, which is impacting MedTech, where it is enabling precision in minimal invasive surgeries. This is significantly improving recovery times for patients and also improving the efficiency of the surgeons, right? The same amount of the same surgeon can do multiple surgeries in a day with the robotic assisted surgery. These advancements, as you can see, are pushing the boundaries of modern healthcare. So with that context set, maybe we can just move to the next slide, which would talk about, now we looked at, we just looked at how healthcare is experiencing a digital transformation with technologies like IoT, AI, robotics, and nanotechnology is upcoming, genomics is upcoming. So how innovation is driven. But as the connectivity is increasing, and so are the potential entry points for the cyber attacks. Devices that earlier were operated in isolation are now part of a network environment. This is exposing patient data and also critical systems to the new vulnerabilities that are there, right? So cyber threats that are targeting medical devices can have significant impact. They can delay patient care and in fact shut down the healthcare operations, right? And could lead to costly impact in terms of also revenues of dollars. So the impact of the security risk on medtech is profound. Here are some examples, and the sources are also mentioned at the bottom. So medical devices, as you can understand, often contain sensitive patient data, and their disruption can compromise even the patient safety. If you have to give an example, right, another unauthorized access to devices like pacemaker or insulin pumps could have life-threatening consequences. Here's an example on the left-hand side. If you see, in 2023, there was a report that indicated that 63% of the known exploited vulnerabilities were tracked by the CISA. They apply to healthcare. So 63% of them apply to healthcare. That is highlighting the severity of these risks. If we have to take another example, right? I mean, just think of a scenario, right? The deep brain stimulators. These are used to treat conditions like Parkinson's disease. But if not properly secured, they can be vulnerable for cyber attacks. And a significant vulnerability can affect patient outcomes and lead to significant operational disruptions as well. So these are some examples, and again, there is also some reports which are talking about the impact or the cost for cyber attack in terms of average cost and also in terms of productivity. That's more for your reference. So this is how the new security risks are also impacting medtech. That said, let's move into the understanding the key risks and challenges. So may I request to change the slide, please, here? So let's now discuss some of the key risks and challenges in the medtech world, and then let's look at first some of the key motivations, right, as well as the threat actors, which are displayed on the left-hand side. So attackers in healthcare space are motivated by various factors. It could be financial gain, it could be a competitive advantage, political espionage, um, or want to disrupt the operations, right? The threat actors can range again from script kiddies, right, or even cyber criminals, to some extent nation or state actors, as well as insider threats. So there are different actors who can impact the systems. The motivation we talked about, right, that could include high value of medical data or the critical nature of uninterrupted care. So these are the motivations and actors. What is this leading to? And again, these are some of the examples. There will be more, but we are trying to explore some of the major ones here. So medical devices, if you look at it, right, they face numerous risks, right, from unauthorized access, ransomware attacks, again, devices that are part of it. We talked about Internet of Medical Things. They are particularly vulnerable due to their connectivity, right, accessibility. In addition, we talked about the advancements of AI. So while AI and machine learning is offering incredible advancement, it can also become a vector for attacks, right? So remote healthcare services, including telemedicines, have expanded the attack surface, right? While also, the supply chain vulnerabilities, they pose another challenge. As you are more and more dependent on third-party libraries, third-party components, there are vulnerabilities that are getting introduced into the system. And I'm sure some of you are aware, but there have been cases where ransomware attacks have not only crippled hospital systems, but also delayed patient care. You might be aware of WannaCry attack, which is another example, right? Impacted hospitals at multiple places, that led to rescheduling of even the treatments or surgeries, and impacted through delays. There was another example, for instance, third-party vendor supplying software to hospital was breached, leading to ransomware attack, and that halted operations for a few days. Now, all these things highlight the importance of even the supply chain security in healthcare. These are some of the examples. Again, for the, I am purposefully not taking names of either the companies or the hospitals or the devices that have been impacted, but giving in general the examples of what has happened, or there have been cases. So this slide talks about some of the key risks and challenges. We talked about trends. Now let's also understand the other angle, more from a regulatory standpoint, what regulators are doing about it. Right? So may I request to move to the following slide, right? So there are different regulations, standards, guidelines, right? Again, what you see on the screen are few, but there are more. Now, to mitigate this risk, medtech companies must comply with the array of global regulations, including the FDA or the MDR in Europe, compliance, the GDPR regulations, right? So it is critical to maintain compliance without compromising the device functionality or user experience. So regulatory compliance also involves regular audits. MedTech companies have to ensure that regular audits are happening. Yes, they are staying ahead of the emerging regulations. Particularly, as the healthcare is becoming more and more interconnected. So here's a list of certain regulations. Also, the standards for your reference, right? And you can explore it at your convenience, what they talked about. But if I have to just pick one of the greatest challenges, right, especially for globally distributed healthcare technologies, One of the major challenges is also navigating through cross-border regulations. While, for example, HIPAA and GDPR are well known, many countries also have their unique requirements. This is also adding to the complexity. This is adding to complexity to the various compliance efforts. So right from beginning, how you can plan it better, involve your compliance team as part of the entire product development process, and ensuring that you are taking care of these requirements is extremely critical in order to meet the security requirements from regulatory standpoint for solutions that are distributed globally. Okay, so that's more of covering on this particular slide. Maybe we can go to the next slide. Right now, I've tried to again summarize some of the key regulatory expectations. So you have seen the regulatory standards, guidelines, on the previous page. Here are some of the key expectations that form the foundation. Again, this is more of a representational one, and there could be more. But just to give you a general idea, right? Security in terms of principle must be embedded right from the start. This is where secure by design principle come into play. Including your cyber security, how you are making completely part of your quality management system, designing for security, how you bring cybersecurity transparency. All those efforts are needed as part of principle. Secure product development framework, uh, focusing on security risk management, security architecture, how you are driving that. Strong encryption, access control, and data minimization are some of the few methods, and you can see there are a lot of methods listed there. Security risk management, including threat modeling, vulnerability management, robust penetration testing throughout the product's life cycle. These are some of the critical things that are expected. In fact, the recent guidance from FDA has been asking for the SBOM, the software bill of materials, and how we are ensuring that this SBOM is maintained, and ensuring that all the third-party vulnerabilities are assessed and mitigated. So these are the things that are needed as part of, or there are expectations from the regulatory standpoint. Companies are adopting, obviously secure by design principle. They are performing regular penetration tests, also ensuring that the only the necessary data is stored. These kind of measures are minimizing the risk of exposure and helping to comply with various standards like GDPR. So I hope this slides give you a high level of overview of general expectations from medical devices in one snapshot. But yeah, we would be happy to discuss and explore more as we have those interactive sessions. Now, as we understand the regulatory expectations, how do we approach these from the risk management standpoint? What would be a better approach? Here's an example approach. Again, companies and individuals might modify it and apply to their own organizations. But just to give you a broader framework, right? If you look at structured risk management approach that involves identifying and accessing, assessing, controlling, and monitoring risks, right? So at top you see various standards, including the ISO 14791 or IC 60601 that guide this process, ensuring that the risks to both patient safety and data security are managed throughout the device life cycle. So this gives overall framework, and then you can have regular operating mechanisms, right, where risk management periodical reviews needs to be conducted. There needs to be a tiered escalation mechanism, right? Risk oversights are done on regular basis, right? And at the bottom, you can see what would be the deliverables. It includes risk management plan, the risk management files like the FMEA, the reports, the review records, all those things, right? This is more of a high level of approach that could be followed, ensuring that, you know, from the security standpoint, a proper risk management is done. Now, if you see nowadays, obviously the organizations and hospitals are implementing, if I have to give example, continuous vulnerability scanning for their connected medical devices. This is ensuring that the potential risks are addressed before they could even get exploited. This proactive approach is helping them to maintain compliance with the regulatory bodies like FDA and also ISO regulations. So this slide now, as if I have to summarize, how do we navigate regulatory requirements while maintaining the functionality and security aspects? So with that, we talked now. If you look at the flow of our presentation, we talked about MedTech trends. We talked about with the trends, what are the security risks and challenges? What is the risk management approach, right? That could be followed. What are the expectations from regulatory bodies or regulations, standards? Here on this slide, let's talk about some of the key best practices, right? Both in terms of pre-market and post-market, right? So when the product is being developed, and once the product is in the market and is connected, and what are those best practices? So obviously the list is put here. The best practices do include securing medical devices through proper risk management. We talked about some of that. Security architecture, secure software development lifecycle, privacy assessment, right? Impact assessment, ensuring that that is done as part of the process. Encryption and data protection, threat modeling, SBOM we talked about, then end of life management, right? So as the products are retiring, right, how you are ensuring that they are decommissioned, right? Nowadays also the multi-patient harm evaluation is another area where, if vulnerability in one device can be exploited, how it would impact multiple patients, right? How do you do that kind of evaluation as part of your process? Those are some of the key best practices that needs to be implemented. Obviously, and penetration testing is another key one, that test your product with various pen testing methods. It's on the pre-market. On the post-market, right? Threat intelligence is something which is important one. Incident management is another one, I would say. Then regulatory security, patch updates, logging and monitoring. These are some of the critical post-market best practices. I would suggest, right, more from a standpoint of ensuring your security of your products. So these are some of the best practices. Definitely, these are some of the major ones. You can decide to add few more. But let's talk about, now we may not be able to talk, even in the interest of time, everything here, right? We can talk about few. So maybe I will highlight the threat intelligence and incident management, right? So we'll spend some time on that. So if we can go to the next page. Right. So again, Incident response and threat intelligence, right, as part of the post-market activities. So these are the steps which are pretty standard, right? Needs to be followed, both in terms of post, preparation, detection and analysis, containment, eradication and recovery, and post-incident activity. These are the four phases of the NIST incident response life cycle, right? That I'm sure many organizations are following that, right? The second portion is talking about threat intelligence, right, from planning, collection, processing, analysis, and dissemination. But how do you enhance, go beyond this? Both you are enhancing incident response and threat intelligence. So here are some of the practices are highlighted. So let me drink some water. So testing your incident response plan, right? An effective incident response plan is essential to minimize the damage during the cyber attack. So regularly testing the plan, ensuring that everyone in their everyone knows their role. It is important that you test, plan, and everyone knows their role, and then they can respond quickly, right? So that can definitely enhance your capabilities. Other one is threat intelligence sharing. Participating in threat intelligence sharing platforms, right? If I have to give you one example, like Health Information Sharing and Analysis Center, that allows organization to stay ahead of emerging threats. So how do you participate in that and share your threat intelligence? That could help you enhance. Then real-time monitoring. There are now different tools and platforms available for rapid detection of suspicious activities, and this helps organization to act before a breach escalates, right? So obviously, examples are there where when the ransomware attack happened in 2021, an organization adopted more advanced real-time monitoring tools to detect and respond to threats faster, which has helped to reduce the incident response time, right? Beyond that, tabletop exercises. These are another good way of ensuring that your teams are ready. And what are tabletop exercises? Basically, they simulate the real world scenarios and test the preparedness of your teams without the actual risk. So many organizations now are conducting these exercises, red teaming, blue teaming, to prepare their staff for incidents like the data breaches or the ransomware attacks, right? These simulations are ensuring teams are well versed in their roles. That leads to faster and more efficient responses in real situations. Also, post-incident analysis is another critical activity from learning and improving future responses, right? Many organizations who have in fact are ensuring that they conduct regular post-incident reviews, identifying the weak points in their systems, and refining their incident response protocol. This has enabled them to respond much faster to the needs when the situation, tough situations occur. So so this slide, basically is giving more of that. So we talked about multiple best practices, then we kind of went a little bit in depth for the incident response and threat intelligence and how do you enhance it, right? And with that, I'm moving towards next slide, right? Which is more talking about the key takeaways. So if we summarize the medical security, if I have to summarize, right, we talked about trends in connected healthcare space, risks and challenges, regulatory expectations we talked about, and how do we ensure compliance while maintaining function, right? Proactive approaches to risk management, and then the best practices. So MedTech security is critical to protecting both patients and their data by adopting a proactive approach, right, and embedding security into every stage of device development, we can definitely ensure compliance and while ensuring that we maintain. So if I have to conclude on this slide before we move to Q&A, right, in the security of connected healthcare system is not just a technical challenge, but those who are working in the medtech and healthcare world, it becomes a moral obligation to protecting patients. With the right strategies, we can strike a good balance between innovation and security. So again, thank you for the attention. And now I'll welcome any questions or I'll hand it over to Shilpa and team. Shilpa, over to you.
Thank you so much, Amol. Yeah, thank you for delivering such an informative session and for our attendees share the same sentiments. If you're interested to learn more about our program, do let us know in the poll that's going to be conducted now. If you'd like to learn more, please select yes, and we will schedule a call to provide you with more information. Also, an important note, admissions are presently open. For comprehensive details regarding our courses, kindly visit our official website www.eccu.edu. So, Amol, shall we start with the Q&A?
Oh yeah, we can go ahead.
Okay. So our first question to you is, can the risk management approach be automated with Gen AI or IoT to enhance compliance?
Sure, that's an interesting question. So if you look at the risk management approach that we talked about, right, it's quite comprehensive in terms of understanding various regulation requirements, standards, and then understanding the various ways in terms of practices, risk management plan, and the deliverables. We talked about all those aspects and all the best practices that needs to be implemented. The way I see is AI, or even including Gen AI, has definitely good applications in some of the areas or implementing some of the practices towards security. Definitely, I see that. But overall, as such as risk management is much broader activity, definitely will need, the organization's human capital and ensuring that the right people are playing the right roles, including incident response. So, for example, incident response, you cannot just depend on the AI, right? But you need to ensure that what are the various things that you are going to take care of, who are playing those roles, and how do you manage that? So all those things would need human intervention, but definitely AI has applications in the best practices, certain best practices applying, or even whether it is penetration testing or threat modeling. We are talking about it, how we can leverage AI and help to focus those efforts on those practices is where I see applications.
Thank you, Amol, for answering that question. Our next question to you is, how can we use AI to deal with AI-based attacks?
Sure. So yes, I mean, it's a good question, and nowadays we get a lot of questions on the AI. Obviously, the rise of artificial intelligence and machine learning in medtech is bringing a lot of significant advancements and new challenges, particularly in the cybersecurity and the privacy areas. But also it is increasing attack surface and complexity of the attacks, right? So implementing where AI can help, right? Implementing strong encryption methods, right, for both data at rest and data in transit can help us in protecting sensitive information, how we can better train our the large language models. That can definitely help. How do we ensure that patients are also, more from information standpoint? How are we figuring out that what data is being used, and only look at how do we minimize the critical data, take explicit consent. This can help definitely addressing the privacy concerns. Is how I see that. I think the previous question was also in the similar line. So AI is definitely having a lot of advantages, both in terms of applying these best practices on and to reduce the attack surfaces, or ensuring that the responses are much better. All right, that's how I see it.
Thank you, Amol, for answering that question. Our next question to you is how AI is impacting medical security.
So maybe Shilpa, we can club a lot of these questions. So 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 let's
Sure.
again, and now I probably go with broader response or example, right? Let's let's take example, right? So think of, so how, let's one example is how AI is helping. We talked about is improving the diagnostic, right? We are talking about huge amount of medical image data and scans, and then the AI is able to scan those images. In fact, look, so for human eye, or it is either it's extremely difficult to analyze such a huge amount of data, and also figuring out the potential challenges, right? I'm sure you guys have heard about uh, how AI is helping to detect colon cancer. So if you look at, there is a solution which is an ingestible device which has camera, and then it can take multiple photographs as it goes through the digestive tract. Now and it creates thousands of images. I'm just giving you one example. Now there are AI based systems which can analyze this huge amount of images and can identify potential colon cancers, right? Which for human eye sometimes it may be difficult. Now this is a application, right? So think of let's take a scenario. The company has this AI system designed to analyze medical imaging scans, and it helps the radiologist in detecting various conditions, including cancers, cells, or tumors, right? Now, this system is trained on millions of anonymized medical images, and it shows, let's say, higher accuracy in clinical trials. Now, let's look at the other way. The attack, how it could happen, right? A sophisticated cyber criminal group, if they are targeting this as part of the adversarial attack, their goal is to manipulate AI's diagnostic output without being detected, right? So attack methodology, what they can use, they can understand the AI model, they can understand the architecture, basis the research papers, and try to impact the outcomes. Uh, they the attackers can gain access to hospitals imaging processing pipeline through phishing attack, again using AI, and impact on the IT administration side, right? They can insert their algorithm into the image processing stage, which can alter the incoming scans before they even reach the medical AI, for analysis. And what is the impact of this? So now you saw AI is improving diagnostic outcome, but the attacker is using a method to change the outcome. What it leads to? One, it could lead to false negatives, right? It can cause the clinician to miss the subtle, let's say, early stage tumors in some patients, or leading to delayed diagnostics. It can lead to false positives in other cases, right? Where it incorrectly flags non-existing tumors, or it can cause unnecessary stress to patients, and it can lead to wastage of medical resources. erosion of trust is another thing, right? While you are dependent on AI, it can also lead to erosion of trust, given that the diagnostic outcome is not good. And again, it could also lead to delayed detection. So this is why, obviously, while AI has a lot of advantages, there are potential of attackers getting used, which with this example I talked about. And again, since there are a lot of questions on AI, let me also talk about potential mitigations, right? Here, we talk now adversarial training, right? How do we ensure the product's AI algorithm, right? The robustness is done really well with this kind of adversarial training. Then multimodal consensus, right? How do you implement multiple AI models with different architectures, right? So that not only it accepts only one diagnosis, but it looks at multiple approaches and comes to a consensus, so that even if one particular path is exploited, we are looking at the consensus from the outcome standpoint. Third, regular security audits, right? Conduct frequent security assessments of the entire pipeline, and just ensure that AI systems in delivering the output well. Anomaly detection is another area that needs to detect unusual pattern. Again, you can use AI to detect those unusual patterns. So AI can be used to detect unusual pattern because of other AIs driven attacks, right? And that could help you to ensure that preventive measures are taken. And I talked about it, human in the loop, ensuring that the AI diagnoses are always verified by human experts, right? That's one way. So human in the loop, especially where there is critical or borderline cases. So this is how AI can be used in both ways, and some of the mitigation strategies we talked about from security standpoint. I hope I answered. It was a broad, longer answer, but I thought it can help answer multiple questions that we have seen in the previous part.
Yeah, thank you so much, Amol, for answering in so much, like in so detailed. Okay, we have a next question from, I guess, is a student. It's like, thanks, Amol sir, for this amazing session. How can I pursue MedTech as my career? I am preparing for MBBS entrance, so how can I embed both medical and tech in India?
For sure. First of all, that's a very excellent question. So thank you for asking. And medtech is a field which is ever evolving. If you are pursuing MBBS, right, and in India, the medtech is growing. The field is growing, and we see a lot of medtech companies coming here. Now, if you look at medical technology, right, it's a combination of, you need to have a very good understanding of the therapies, right? So human body, human anatomy, and the therapies, right? So as you learn about it, if you are doing MBBS, definitely all those areas are covered. If you are doing biomedical engineering, you are pursuing that path, you'll learn a lot about that, right? Now, beyond that, I would also suggest you, apart from that graduation course, whether it's MBBS or biomedical engineering, understanding the various regulations, and I showed you in the recent presentation, the regulations, the standards, the guidelines. Learning about that would definitely help you a lot. And the third piece is about technology, right? How these technologies and the evolving trends. So today we talked about security, and we also touched base upon AI, right? But we talked about medtech trends. So how you are also learning about these new trends, new technologies, keeping you abreast ahead of time. You are preparing yourself. So all this, if you address these three areas, I'm sure you can be a great medtech engineer and leader.
Thank you, Amol, for answering that question. Our next question to you is, Given the rapid evolution of ransomware and other cyber threats, what are the most concerning trends specifically targeting medical devices in healthcare?
Sure. So thanks for that question, and we did cover those things, and in our earlier presentation, but maybe for the interest of everyone, right? I'll repeat it. So we talked about trends of what are the medtech trends: remote healthcare, digital platforms, right? Uh, IoT adoption in medical devices or IoMT. AI adoption is increasing. We talked about robotics and automation. We talk about AR, VR, and we touch base on that, and then the precision medicines, right? So all these are the trends. Where what are the risks that are evolving because of this? Are the attack surfaces increasing as more and more devices are connected to the internet, and there is a attack surface has been growing. What it leads to are potential patient safety risks. Right, that's one important one, right? Someone can, let's say, the devices are remotely monitored, and how if someone is able to exploit that risk. Whether it is, we talked about an example of deep brain stimulator, right? How do we protect that? So potential patient safety. We talk other area is remote healthcare is also expanding the challenges of privacy and data breaches. So the patient data is so sensitive, right? And the data is there. So how do you ensure that ensuring privacy and data breaches under one? Ransomware you talked about in your question, and ransomware we gave example of WannaCry and others, and they have been disrupting the daily operations of they have potential to disrupt that operations of hospitals. That leads to delayed patient care, right? And impacting not just hospital but patient's health as well. Other risk which we talked about as this in the connected care space, the supply chain is also becoming complex. You are having so many third-party components, and now these components, if you are not upgrading on time to time, are vulnerable. So how do you ensure that the various third-party components and the supply chain risks are mitigated? So that's another area. And I think many of you asked that question. The AI-powered attacks are another things which are happening, right? Or could happen, and people can exploit that. So that's the other fifth area. And yes, all these things are also leading to where it is impacting critical systems. They get disrupted. Devices, they get impacted. And these are maybe if I say 5-6 areas which are the key security risk in medtech world, which are driven by the latest trend, if I have to summarize. Shilpa?
Thank you, Amol, for answering that question. We'll take last question for the day.
Sure.
How to protect healthcare connected devices? Is it possible to use open source platform?
So connected healthcare ecosystem is big, right? And it involves so many components. We just talked about those components. Now, we talked about in today's presentation also the key regulatory expectations in the medtech world, right? From MDR. We talked about secure product development life cycle, ensuring risk management, threat modeling, the soup analysis, right? Where we are, and here this question is more about open source, right? So how do you? So I think when you are doing the security risk management, it's okay to use open source components, but ensuring that the software of unknown provenance, right? That's what the soup's long form is. You're ensuring those are assessed for all the vulnerabilities. So you can use open source, tools, platforms, but ensuring that you have done all the required risk assessments on those components. They are not vulnerable, and also they are upgraded from time to time for all the from time to time to mitigate the any risks. So those things are definitely needed whenever you are using open source components.
Thank you so much, Amol, for answering that question and for the great presentation and knowledge shared with our global audiences. It was a pleasure to have you with us, and we are looking for more and more sessions with you. Before we conclude the webinar, Amol, would you like to give a small message to our audience?
Sure. So again, thank you everyone who joined the call today for such an engaging and interactive conversation. Thank you for all the great questions. Really appreciate it. Again, I'll repeat my message for those who are into this world. So security for connected healthcare system is not just a technical challenge, but a moral obligation to protect patients. It is our responsibility to ensure that patient is at the core of of everything that we are thinking of whenever we're building products and solutions, right? So with the right strategies that we talked about today, we can definitely strike a right balance between innovation and security. So that's my message. So thank you for your attention, and it was great pleasure talking to you. Thank you, Shilpa and team, for facilitating this session.
Thank you so much, Amol, for the message to our audience.